Welcome back everybody to linuxacademy.com. My name is Terry, and in today's video we begin our series on Jenkins. So let's talk about what Jenkins is, and specifically in this slide we're going to give you a very brief overview and introduction into what Jenkins is, how it plays in the IT arena for software deployments, and why it's important. So let's go ahead and get started. So what is Jenkins exactly? So in short, Jenkins is an application that monitors executions of repeated jobs, such as building a software project or jobs run by cron. That's an overly simplistic view about what Jenkins is, but it is a fair representation of what Jenkins does. Now, Jenkins can do a lot of things in an automated fashion. And if a task is repeatable, if it's something that can be documented and done the same way over time, or done the same way with certain parameters being dynamically allocated, like build versions or environment variables, etc., Jenkins can do it. And not only can Jenkins automate it, but Jenkins can notify a team when it fails. Jenkins can do automatic testing for builds and performance. So how's that different? Well, traditionally, development makes software available in a repository, and then they give operations a call or submit a ticket to the help desk, and then operations builds and deploys that software to one or more environments. Once that's done, there's usually a QA team, or historically there's been a QA team that may execute load and performance tests against that build, and then make it ready for production. They pass the build so that it can actually be turned on in the production environment. And what Jenkins does is a lot of those very repeatable tasks in that process can be automated repeatably by Jenkins, and that's what Jenkins' specialty is. Jenkins has a large number of plugins that are available that extend the basic functionality of Jenkins, which is to execute remote jobs on various servers, desktops, etc., and then report on the results of those jobs, whether they're bash shell scripts, compiling and deploying Java, checking out code from Git or Subversion or Mercurial. All of those functions are available either within Jenkins or as a Jenkins plugin. One of the things that you'll hear Jenkins largely associated with are a couple of key concepts that we'll talk about here. One of which is called continuous integration. Continuous integration is really a development practice that requires that developers integrate code into a shared repository several times a day. And we talked about what some of those repositories could be. The repositories could be Subversion, CVS, Mercurial, Git, at GitHub, all things that we've dealt with at one point in the past. Each time code is checked in, it's then verified by an automated build, and Jenkins has plugins that can build the software and then execute specific tests against it, both in terms of function and performance and even structure, so that if you have source code standards that you want all of your applications built within, those standards can be integrated as part of the tests and code quality that can be tested within Jenkins. It allows everyone to detect and be notified of problems with the package immediately. So if anything fails in that continuous integration process, then notifications can be sent out to the appropriate people that care about the fact that one phase or another of that continuous integration has failed and can take immediate steps to correct it. Really, continuous integration is driven by the quote-unquote instant gratification that the internet has helped to reset expectations for. Because everything is alive, because we can shop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, one of the competitive advantages that businesses especially have online is the ability to quickly deliver new features and new functionality to their applications and their sites. Jenkins helps in that because it continuously integrates anything that's deemed ready for deployment. In order to reach the real-time deployment goals of delivering new features, traditionally manual processes have to be automated and reacted to as fast as they occur. So going back to Jenkins can notify whomever along the entire build pipeline, which we'll talk about next, that they have an issue that needs to be addressed in real time. So what is a build pipeline? It's a process by which the software build is broken down in sections. Unit testing, acceptance testing, packaging, reporting, deployment, and notification. These are then executed either in a series or in parallel. In other words, there are multiple phases that can be done at the same time. And then depending on the success or failure of that phase, it can automatically be moved to the next phase. All of this is very DevOps. And as we've talked about both at Linux Academy and as I'm sure you've seen online, DevOps, through automation, the tools and the skills needed are very cross-domain. It's the crossing of skills between traditional development engineers and operation engineers so that development people are doing operations tasks and operations people are doing development tasks. And that's the reason for that is that everything, including infrastructure, can be treated as code using Vagrant, using Jenkins, using Docker, using Ansible. So the infrastructure, the physical hardware and software that your applications run on, is abstracted from the implementation details of what it runs in. So operations people treat their environment as if they're coding when they build the environment. Scripts, automation processes, delivery pipelines, Chef and Puppet and Ansible, items that make environments consistent and can be treated with coding skills either from a development or an operations perspective. So the concepts of continuous integration, build pipeline, and the new DevOps movement are revolutionizing how we build, deploy, and use software and even hardware. Tools that are effective in automating multiple phases of these processes, like Jenkins, become more and more valuable in organizations where resources, time, or both, which is most organizations, are at a premium. As a result, so do you if you know how to use tools like Jenkins. So in the next video, we're going to talk about some Jenkins best practices, and then we'll dive in and get started. That's all there is for the introduction to Jenkins. My name is Terry for Linux Academy.